Now let's head to the interview segment. Of course, today we focus on the serious issue that set social media aflame this week. Of course, that's the allegations from Very Dark Man against the EFCC, the prison officials, and Bobrisky. Now we have joining with us, he will join us via Zoom, Benga Bada, who is the assistant editor of the Nation's newspaper. But we have in this studio a public relations expert, Jerry Adiri. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Okay, so you have followed this development with VDM since he came into the limelight talking about bleaching cream and all of that till we got to the Mohbad story, then we got to this place that we're in. What do you think about this person, what he does?
Well, I think VDM has positioned himself as a voice for the voiceless. Okay. That's how he started anyway. He treats topical issues. He tackles the giants of the society, so to say. And he has created an image for himself as someone who is not scared of anybody. And it's not something hard to see that whenever he comes up with these conversations, in a way, he has a way to back them up. I don't know how he does it. Mm-hmm. You know, he brings out videos, he brings out, conversations, chats, and all that. And something I've really studied about him is that he has found a way to build a community for himself. Okay. He tackles topical issues. He takes on juggernauts in the society, politicians, legal giants, anybody, social media influencers. And in a way, he has been able to build a community for himself.
Well, do you think that this was intentional? This was to go when he just came into social media?
Well, over time, so something about content creation is when you create content, number one, you study the performance. You create content, number two, you study the performance. So over time, maybe when he sees that whenever I discuss topical issues, I have more engagements, more comments, more views, and chances are he's going to become more comfortable in that space and would, prefer to be going on for those kind of things. He's a content creator, whether we like it or not. He just discusses topical issues, and then he tackles, societal injustices and the likes. So it might be a long goal, it might be a long-term goal, and it might be a short-term goal, but what I've been able to observe about him is he ensures that he gets, whether we like it or not, he wants views, he wants comments, he wants to trend.
Definitely, but do you think he can sustain this, this reputation over the years?
Well, in a very sensitive landscape like Nigeria, I doubt if he's going to be able to continue for a long time, especially now that he's getting into muddy waters, tackling legal juggernauts. I think he needs to just be very careful.
Mm-hmm. Speaking of legal juggernauts, sorry if I cut you off there. Do you think, what do you think of the way the Falana family has handled this so far? Do you think that they should be pressing charges against VDM and not Bobrisky, saying that the recording that VDM played on social media or posted on social media had a voice that sounded like Bobrisky's own?
Sounded like Bobrisky's own.
I used that word it was very intentional.
Okay, I think the Falana family I do not think they have done anything out of the ordinary. It is just what is expected. If you're going to take on a lion, take on one lion. Do not go to their pack. I think VDM has, there's this Yoruba adage that says he has forward to ile agbon. You have to interpret that. I'm going to interpret that. It's just like you've seen the space where bees, align, and you decide to go and look for their trouble. You didn't only look for Falso's trouble, you looked for his dad's trouble, someone who has been in, the law practice for 42 years.
Invariably getting the anger of the whole family.
Exactly. Now, I'm just getting to know that Fal's sister is also interested in the conversation. Right. See you in court. So, VDM might have beaten more than he can chew. So it's not looking really good. I don't think it's looking really good.
Okay, so we have via Zoom, Benga Bada is the assistant editor of the Nation newspaper who will lend his voice on this particular issue. Good morning, Mr. Bada. Thank you very much for joining us at this time on this discussion. You have followed the developments in the entertainment industry.
Good morning, Theo.
Yeah, good morning.
Theo,
You followed
thank you for having me.
You followed the discussion in the entertainment industry with VDM and all of that. Now, in terms of, we've talked about content creation and how many people are being comfortable, especially when they've gotten the numbers and the views. But how careful can one be, especially with the recent developments by Very Dark Man?
Okay, so I keep saying this thing over and over again, and I doubt if I can ever stop re-emphasizing it. We need to understand that there are limits to rights because there are laws in the country. When you speak, you don't just speak. And because we have social media, which is free for and accessible for everybody, it does not necessarily mean that you just speak without facts and figures, you know, and we have to understand that you don't just say things, or you don't just write things because you feel like that. You don't act out of emotions. You have to be sure, to be double sure of whatever it is you're talking about or you're writing. And that is what we've seen with Very Dark Man and the Falana family. I mean, it's obvious that the Falana family would not take it lightly, and it's not even about fouls. You know, it's about the integrity of the family. A lot of people do not understand what it means, you know, to have an integrity. It speaks volumes, you know, for an individual when you have integrity, and that is one of the reasons a lot of people would not understand why you cannot go online and just spew gibberish, just spew things because you feel you want to say it, or because you're emotionally attached to something. You know, basically, I feel the law has stated it, and with the things we've seen in Nigeria with the cyber law that has been activated, and we've seen a couple of celebrities, you know, put that into action and worked very well for them. So I think the law is very clear on matters like this. I just hope that our people, you know, can go online and think very well before they speak, you know, and be sure of whatever it is they are talking about before coming online to write things or say things.
Okay. I want to take you to the beginning. Do you, can you hear me? Do you agree with the way in which Very Dark Man made the allegations? The way he has just been posting it on social media. Do you agree with that?
So again, it's just reiterating what I've said. I do not agree with you going online without your facts. So I'll give you an example. I can say, oh, Theophilus is a man that should not be trusted. But I've not given a fact why Theophilus should not be trusted. So I can't go online and malign his name and smear his integrity simply because I probably want to amuse my fans or make my fans happy or get numbers or get paid off for whatever reason. Okay. Just go online and say that. Okay. So you cannot smear people's name, you know, feel people's integrity and feel it's fine because it's social media. It's not fine.
Okay.
It's not fine. And social media is spread faster.
Yeah. I want to ask you this. If the allegations made by VDM, if it is true, who do you think should take the most blame? The government, EFCC, the Nigeria Correctional Service?
Okay, so I would say if the allegations were found to be true in any ways, VDM should also understand how to go back and when you're bringing whatever it is out, you tell people, okay, I'm saying this, I have my facts, blah blah blah. So it won't when somebody is giving you what's it called? When somebody is writing you legally to say withdraw your statement and all that, you can easily go back and say no, my statements are fact, blah blah blah. if the allegations are found to be true, well, the federal government should be held responsible, and the federal government should do better. I want to believe the Nigerian federal government know better and will do better if they're found culpable. For the prisons, it's been, so I keep saying this thing, quite a number of people have said things, but again, nobody has been able to come out and show us concrete evidence. If truly this is found to be true, then the prisons should do better. The minister in charge, should do better, and heads should roll to serve as example and to make people understand that Nigeria can actually work.
All right, Bengabada, let me hold you on for there and get on to Jerry on this same issue. He also mentioned about content creation and the ethics of creating content that will be wholesome. What do you think about all this?
Well, he has rightly said it. I just think content creators need to understand that there are certain critical issues they need to refrain from. In a landscape as sensitive as Nigeria, I'm always saying Nigeria is a very sensitive country. You could do a lot of things in other countries and go, scot-free. But Nigeria is just a complex state. You need to understand who your community is or who your target audiences are and what works them up. Now, you don't want to get into trouble with some people who are the movers and shakers, right? As much as you want to be you want to be a social activist, you need to also understand that there are legal boundaries. And in this particular issue with VDM, I think he has, gotten into where I'm praying for him that he comes back safe.
So what do you think is going to happen now? First of all, the 2 people from the correctional service have been suspended. So what do you think is going to happen? EFCC has opened the case for investigation and all of that.
Yeah. So positive things are coming up, right? Thanks to VDM for that. He has been able to wake up some giants. Yes. Who would have thought that EFCC would investigate EFCC? Nobody would have thought that is happening. And then he also made sure that the prisons are also putting their houses in order. But then every man is a warrior when there is no battle. And then the more you call yourself a professional swimmer, there comes a time where you need to go back, lest the tides will carry you away.
Benga, is VDM backing on the wrong horse? What do you think?
So when you say backing on the wrong horse, I'm careful because it's a thin line.
Okay.
It's a thin line because I do not want to come off like what he's saying is actually true, and but just because the people are powerful, and that's why we're having this conversation. I also do not want to say what he's saying is untrue, So I would not necessarily say, honestly, I wouldn't know exact answer to give to you, because I don't want to say he's backing, I'm sorry, I wouldn't know exactly what to say, because I don't want to sound like he's stepping on toes, but at the same time, I don't want to say it's wrong, it's right rather.
Okay. So before we allow you go, what's advice we give to young people who look up to him, young people who want to do these kinds of things that VDM is doing, but haven't started, or some of them might have started but haven't gotten the traction yet? Do you think this might make them want to do untoward things to get the views and all of that?
Okay, so I'm all up for youths, doing very well. I'm all up for anyone who is doing anything positive. I mean, the whistleblower thing is in the country, and it's a good thing, But what I'm saying is, every time there should be measures. There should be measures every time. So when you do things, you do it in measures. You can't overdo things, and you can't get too emotional. Even if you're coming out and you're giving people hope. You're speaking out exactly what the public wants to listen to and what you're speaking the mind of the youth or the public. It's fine. I encourage people, more people to do that, you know, and open up on criminal activities or shady deals or you know, illegal activities and all. It is fine. I welcome it. I like it. It's fine. But we have to do things in measure. I'm a Yoruba man, and there's this thing my father would always say. He would say, you know, you do things in measure. You don't do things overly or with emotions. You have to ensure that whatever it is you're doing, you're putting yourself in check so that you don't get checked by the law.
All right, Assistant Editor, Nation Newspaper, Big Abada, thank you so much for talking to us.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much. Jerry,
yes.
In all of this, what do you think now? Where does this put the industry going forward?
Well, you know, Nigeria is, I keep saying it is a very fantastic state. And new day, there's always something new to discuss. So I'll just say that this conversation, as sensitive as it is, it has opened a lot of cans, and then a lot of worms are coming out. But then I would implore young persons, I would implore content creators, just like, you know, Wingard rightly said, there are measures to these things. You know, you need to be sure of what you're putting out. It's not just about talking. It's not just about, you know, riling up the emotions of the people. But are you working within the lines of the law? Because the law is watching, whether we like it or not. You know, so I think the industry is getting very interesting. Every day there's something new to discuss.
Well, how can you protect yourself from these worms that you have mentioned?
Well,
apart from following the law, because you've mentioned that several times already.
Yeah.
How can you?
Yeah, so it's just about you knowing what you're doing. Don't bite more than you can chew, right? And then ensure that you're speaking with facts, so that when somebody is calling you out, you are at peace that at least what I said is there for everybody to see. And then you need to also ensure that your communication is strategic. You're not just throwing bombs out there. And then build alliances properly, right? You need to build alliances properly. You wouldn't know who you would need to, you know, come to save you someday. So it's a lot of things, but then, you know, just a step, I mean, a journey of 1,000 miles starts with a step.
All right, so we know that this story will
continue to
evolve as we go by. I'm sure by next week we might still have to discuss this. But thank you very much, Mr. Jerry Adeyeri, for coming. Of course, PR experts. Thank you so much for talking to us. And of course, special thanks to Benga Bada for talking to us as well via Zoom. And that's it on the segment this morning.